What we're about to cover is the essence of health, vitality, and wellness. But I don't call it that. I call it energizing the body. Because energy is the common denominator of all wellness, of everybody. Because we're all made of energy. We know that. Everything is molecules and energy. But in a practical sense, in everyday life, have you noticed that your energy level determines how smart you are, how quick-minded you are? You've had times where even if you're pretty bright, where you're very tired and your mind seems more dull. So the more energy you have, the quicker your mind is, the stronger you are. Imagine someone with lots of muscles but has no energy. They're not going to be very strong. So energy increases strength, it increases brightness, it increases every human capacity, including healing self, healing others, charisma, presence. So how do we find this energy in our bodies? Many of us, at times, we say, well, I could use a little more money. And the same way, many of us feel like, I could use a little more energy. How do we find it? Well, there's a story about a man who was seeking energy his whole life. And he went to every esoteric discipline, from the East and from the West. And one day, near the end of his life, he finally came upon a mountain he knew was sacred. And he climbed to the top of that mountain. And he stood at the top. And he cried up to the heavens, "Fill me full of light and energy!" And a voice came down, thundered down through the clouds, and it said, "I'm always filling you, but you keep leaking." This is the human condition. We keep leaking. Energy's all around us. Spirit's all around us. Do you think the weather person comes on the radio or TV and says 20% chance of rain today and 30% spirit out? Not much energy out today? We live in energy. We swim in a sea of energy. We get energy from the sun, from the foods we eat, from people around us, from the air we breathe. Some people call it ki or chi or prana. But we get energy from the air. It's not just oxygen. So we're filled with energy. Why don't we feel more energetic? Because we're leaking. And the two most common areas of leaking energy are 1, tension, and 2, lack of breathing. You may know in the yogic traditions and in other traditions, there are many breathing exercises, very fancy exercises, breathing through one nostril at a time to balance the nadis and the different systems and channels of the body. But I'm talking about everyday breathing. It can be useful at times to hold our breath as an exercise, to see how long we can hold our breath. There are some benefits in that, doing it consciously, but it is not valuable to unconsciously hold our breath. And if you pay close attention to your life, when you're putting on your socks in the morning, you're probably holding your breath. When you're sitting down in a chair or to go to the bathroom, you're probably holding your breath as you sit down and as you stand up again. When you're pouring water or tea into a glass, you probably hold your breath. When you're doing concentrated exercises, sitting at a keyboard in front of the computer, you're probably breathing very shallow. So the ability to start to notice when we're holding our breath and make the breath work like a pendulum, back and forth, evenly throughout the day, in a natural, relaxed way. This is one of the key spiritual disciplines to become mindful. So please keep this in mind, the breathing. How about relaxation? There was one study I remember that said when someone lifts a forkful of food to their mouth, they're using as much muscle tension that it will be required to lift a 10-pound weight. Often we bleed off a lot of energy we might otherwise use to circulate in our body through unnecessary tension. Fidgeting during the day, and again, chronic tension. So just here and now, breathe and relax. A young man came to me once and said, "Dan, I know you charge a lot of money for your consultations. I only have $1. I'm a poor college student. Can you tell me something useful?" I said, "Here and now, breathe and relax." In another video module at this website, I'm going to address the present moment and how to abide in that moment. But for now, we get into relaxation, breathing. Those two things can make a huge difference in your level of energy. Let's talk about wellness. Fact is, germs are all around us. Bacteria and viruses on every surface, on the skin, hundreds of different thousands all around us. Why do we get sick sometimes and not other times?